And a big welcome to Badass Women in Business podcast. I am not making any errors on the title of our podcast anymore. Christy, I think I finally got our branding right. Anyways, we're deep in season 3, and this season 3 is bringing us some really cool people on the show. So I'd like to welcome Jennie Smith. Jennie, welcome. How are you? Well, for having known you and worked with you for a few months now, I can totally stamp you as a badass. As a matter of fact, your next tattoo should say you're a badass because you totally are. Jennie is super humble. So, in order for everybody to understand how big of a badass you are, I'd like to tell everybody, who are you, Jennie Smith? See, badass? I mean, by now you have proven to everyone why you're a badass. You're the epitome. You're the reason why Christy and I started this podcast, for women like you who are like, I did nothing special in my life. And then you start talking and every jaw drops. I love your answer. And I love the fact that when you and I were writing a blog not too long ago with our good friend ChatGPT, the topic was, why does your pet haircut cost more than your own haircut? And some of the reasons that we came up with under that were or in that blog were pretty funny, because you're talking about creativity and I'm also talking about creativity in a challenged environment where you can't talk to a dog as you would talk to a human. You can't have a dog behave the same way that you would have a human behave, unless you are a child stylist, and then maybe there are some comparisons. But the truth of the matter is like, even when you were grooming George, and at the same time there was a little dog that had just come out of bathing and drying, and there was either a vomit incident or a pee incident, and they had to be put back in, and there is biting, there is barking, there are a lot of constraints that you're working around. So for the sake of myself and Christy and our listeners, I'd love for you to share just some of those challenging moments that you've had in terms of like grooming stories that you've experienced that also showcase the level of badassery that you're supporting in your daily life.
Oh, I was impressed.
This is when you call the owner and you say, I'm sorry, I promised you 3 p.m., but we're going to have a late day today.
I'm doing well. Thank you both for having me here. I feel pretty honored that you would have someone like me come and do this, because I don't always think of myself as a badass in business, but I try to be. Well, I'm a nationally certified master groomer. See, there you go. I also own this is my 4th grooming salon that I own now. And along with that, there was a grooming school that I've just currently taken a hiatus from, because I am burned out from trying to teach people how to groom dogs. But I basically am I'm the dog lady. If there's anything and everything that can be done with pets, I have done it. I've worked in vet clinics, boarding kennels. I've driven a dog sled. I've worked for rescues. I've done everything but grooming and helping people with their pets in that capacity. Finding what's going to work with their lifestyle is my passion. I love taking those scruffy little dogs and making them into something that can get back up and sleep on the bed with you. And I also, in my business, I'm trying to empower other women, I should say mostly women, sometimes there's guys, but mostly women, to maybe get a second chance at things that they in their life, so that they can get a new career and feel as accomplished as I do.
Well, I've been able to see, I believe Miss Aggie has taken her little guy George to you, who was in desperate need of some TLC, and he looks absolutely amazing. So your work definitely shines. Tell me, 4th grooming salon, why? Why 4? Was it you moving, locations? What was that? And do you sometimes think that you're crazy to open up another one as you did?
Yes, this is definitely the biggest one. So I will tell you that I opened my first grooming salon when I was 19 years old. So I was very young. And that first grooming salon was located in Frisco, Colorado. And I owned it for about 3 years, did a major remodel because I was growing and expanding and I was going to hire my first employee and so on and so forth. And we did a big remodel over Memorial Day weekend. And that Tuesday after, and this would have been in 19, that I got bit by a dog, bad enough that it sliced the palm of my hand open. I had to have reconstructive surgery on my hand. I couldn't work for 18 weeks. And at this point, I was 20, and had to move back to Loveland, where I had gone to high school and lived with some friends and people for some support because I couldn't work. And I'd spent all the money, all the savings that I had in the remodel, which then made it so that business I ended up losing because of that. And I think I think until you've been in business and you've had to experience a loss like that, you don't understand how quickly all of those things can be taken away from you in a heartbeat if you don't plan ahead. The second business I bought after that I worked for a vet, ended up buying the grooming business from him, got pregnant, thought I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. So I sold that one after I'd owned it for about 7 years, and then decided that after about 4 months that I could not be a stay-at-home mom, that was not in my wheelhouse at all. So then I contacted a few people I knew. I converted my garage into a grooming salon, and I was grooming with my daughter in a backpack on my back, and had dog kennels set up for her and whatnot. And so she grew up in a grooming salon. Yeah, I had these great headphones that she would wear to protect her ears from dryers and dogs. And
done, Christy, trust me.
And then, so I had that business that was out of my house for a while as the third business. Then I went to work there was another grooming school here in town, and I went to work for them, and they were very, I did not enjoy the way that they ran their business. I loved the fact that I got to teach people about my passion and the way that I got to see when the light went on. When the light goes on and they get it, I'm like, it's the best feeling in the whole wide world. So I was doing that and had done that with them for about 6 or 7 years. And then they kind of changed the way they were looking at the business. I think they were getting burned out and tired and whatnot. But they pulled me aside one day and said, if they pay their tuition, they're going to pass. And I don't feel I couldn't ethically do it, because to me, if you don't know what you're doing, somebody's family member is going to get hurt, or the groomer is going to get hurt, or both. And it was my name going out the door, and I didn't want to put my name on it. And so I had a client that I was showing their dogs, because I also show dogs and breed dogs, but I was showing their Bichon for them. And they said, why don't you own this grooming school? And I said, because I don't have the funds. And they said, fine. They came back to me 4 weeks later. They said, we'll back you. Let's go start our own. And so we found an existing dog daycare business that was selling, and they said they did grooming, but to them, 3 dogs a day was busy. 3 dogs a day was a busy day. So we ended up buying that business, and eventually we got rid of the daycare about 4 years ago. COVID killed it. So now we just focus solely on grooming. So that is why the 4 businesses. Okay, but I have to preface it. I think part of the reason why I've worked so hard over the years, and why I still kind of downplay my success in it, is when I first started grooming dogs, you didn't tell somebody you were a pet groomer with a lot of confidence. It was something that was done in the back rooms. People didn't understand. It was just a pet groomer. It wasn't respected. Even my own dad, who worked corporate America for years, worked up from selling shoes to being a store manager of a national chain, so on and so forth. He's like, you cannot make a career out of this. This is a hobby. Well, I told him before he passed away 2 years ago, I said, I'm still trying to prove you wrong. And he finally told me that I had more than proved him wrong, that you could make a career out of this.
That gave me chills and brought tears to my eyes. I'm not going to lie. That's pretty cool. Love it. So tell us a little bit about what it's like to, you had mentioned that a lot of the people we've interviewed here are more B2B versus B2C. So maybe some of our listeners can really relate to either wanting to start or are currently in the trenches of running a B2C business. What would you say are some of the largest challenges that you face, and maybe some solutions that you've learned to overcome those?
I think one of the biggest things is
I have so many ideas
when you
on
start
that,
a very small
based on what
B2C
you're
business,
talking about. Maybe we should
the clients
look at,
come to you because it is
teaching
you.
dog
and
parents
they like the
on how to
service because
groom
it is you.
if they don't want to bring them
one
to
of the
the
biggest
groomers.
problems that I see is people tend to grow
Special
too fast,
lesson
but
after
they don't
hours.
have systems or processes or training in place, because the goal is, even as you scale and as you get bigger and you get more employees, that the experience should be exactly the same, whether they're dealing with me, who it's my name on the door and I'm the one that started this and had the vision for it, but the clients need to have the same experience, whether they're dealing with me or whether they're dealing with any one of my employees that I have. And I think that's the biggest thing. And coming up with those systems to still allow, so grooming, sorry, I feel like I'm getting sidetracked, but grooming's such a creative industry. It's like an art form that is on a living being that can be monetized. So you have to allow the groomer a chance to have freedom of expression and the creativity to do the job that they do within parameters that still meet with your business values, business goals, and trying to replicate who I am that brought all the clients in to begin with. I hope that answered the question. Maybe.
Jennie, one thing we haven't talked about yet is who do you serve? Like, what geographic area do you serve?
Okay, so there's so many, but the first one happened when I was a very, very new to grooming. I was working at a vet clinic. I'd probably been grooming this is before I opened my first salon. So I'd probably only been grooming for 2 years. And I was doing this dog, a great big dog, super fluffy blonde dog. It was like a Samoyed golden retriever mix. So I want you to imagine hair about 7-8 inches long, super fluffy. I was just getting done drying him, and I'm blowing off the last little bits of hair.
What does Dogs Own Grooming, that's the name of your business?
These cattle dryers.
What's the vision for it? Like, how far do you want to take it? How big do you want to grow it? I know you and I talk every other week about it, but I want everybody else to hear what the plans are for your business, for this fourth grooming salon that you own.
Doing that, and he had liquid blowout diarrhea right into the dryer, and literally shit from the ceiling to the floor, all over the dog, all over me. I had just spent 4.5 hours on this dog. I literally turned it off, started crying, and put the dog back in the tub. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I can't do this again. But I had to. Well, there's one. Just one. There's one. Right. We're gonna have a super late day today. I know the people on the podcast can't see, but can you see this wound?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so those of you that can't see it, it's probably a 4 to 5 inch long scratch on my arm. So to tell you that this is a 1-year-old Rottweiler that came in on Monday.
You can now book online, and the quota is at least 42 dogs a day.
This is with 3 other people holding him that I ended up with this. So that's a challenge. And one of the biggest challenges with that is people think that they are doing right by their dogs by keeping them home and protecting them, quote unquote, protecting them from scary situations. And I think one of the hardest types of dogs to work with are those dogs that people say that they rescued. Okay. And I'm not trying to downplay rescues, and I'm not trying to do all that, but I think a lot of people, when they get a dog from a rescue, they think that the dog came from a really bad situation. And it may not have been that it came from a really bad situation. It may have been that the dog was never introduced to anything outside of what he was originally shown in that first 8 weeks of life. Somebody that brought the dog home and left it home and didn't do anything with it, never took it anywhere, never showed it anything. And then they, for whatever reason, get rid of it. Somebody else gets the dog. The dog acts totally fearful and totally afraid of everything because he's never been anywhere but he's probably never been in the car. He's never gone and done anything. Everything's new. Everything's scary. And so they get into that fight or flight response, just like animals do. And so then you want them to look good, and you bring them into a grooming salon at 1 year or 2 years old, and they've never been exposed to anything, and expect us as groomers to work a miracle and make it look like the show dog, when we're having a hard enough time just trying to get him to walk in the building and let us touch him. So that's another challenge. And we have stories like that. So many stories I could tell you about dogs or owners that have these unrealistic expectations. So I'll set the stage for you. You guys both know what a Cocker Spaniel looks like, right?
Yep.
So I want you to imagine in full show coat, really long hair, like dragging the ground. Well, this dog also, for whatever reason, most Cocker Spaniel people are really in love with their Cocker Spaniel's eyelashes. Well, this dog had eyelashes that she had never cut. And this dog is probably 7 years old. And these eyelashes are no shit, 7 inches long. I mean, they hung down below his muzzle. So you can imagine these just little tiny eyelashes that hang down below the muzzle. Now, this dog used to come every 3 weeks. He was always matted.
I'll expend it to see anyone out there.
And this is back in the day when grooming a Cocker Spaniel would be $40. I would charge $150.
Jenny, what do you foresee, like, looking into the future and getting to the point where you're mostly out of the business and you can do all the things and only the things that you love? What are some of the bottlenecks and challenges that you've had in the past that you could potentially have in the future that have...
So me being the honest person that I am, when she picks up, I'm like, so I just need to let you know that I trimmed his eyelashes accidentally, so I evened them up. Well, she threatened to sue me. She went up and down. She called an attorney, so on and so forth, blah, 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 blah. I mean, read me the riot act. And at this point, I'm still pretty young. You know, I'm in my early mid-20s. I own my salon, but I'm a little freaked out because I'm like, oh God, I don't know what to do about this. So she leaves, and I don't see from her for a while. And then about 1 year later, somewhere around in there, she calls me. Hi, it's Dory. I need to make an appointment for Max. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Dory. I cannot make an appointment for Max at the cost we were doing before. I said, it's going to be double. It's going to be $85 for me to groom your dog. And you have to understand, the normal Cocker Spaniel was $40 at that point. So I'm charging double now. And she's like, why? And I said, well, because I have to have a lawyer and retainer if I'm going to groom your dog. Well, she says, that's fine. You charge me whatever you want. Well, because she took the dog to somewhere else and he was matted and they shaved him bald. I mean, they took all his hair off, including his eyelashes. So she learned the hard way that what I did with 1 inch of eyelash was not the worst that could have been.
Wow. You really You really could
Those
keep
are
going
really,
with
really,
stories. And if you guys are
those are
writing
really
blog,
good,
you should
just
definitely
overall
write like a
commentary coming
storytelling
from
blog
a good
about worst
Oh
badass
case
my God.
leader
scenarios,
that has been able to
and
shape her
or how
business
to
in the way
inform
that she
owners
wanted. I know you and I
on
have
how
talked
they need to
about,
bring their dogs in more. What are
things
things
that are
they
going
could
on in the grooming
consider
industry, but you've
that
been
could
in
be
it for way
challenges for you
longer
as the
than
groomer? That is not your
anyone I
responsibility.
know. So how has it evolved
um,
over time, and where do
all
you see
right,
it evolve?
good. I didn't think I would be giving business advice on this, but it's what struck my mind. Unfortunately, we live in what we do. So I was cruising. I don't have the lovely long-term relationship with you as Aggie does. So I was cruising your website. You have a really large team.
I do.
Talk to me more about how you have developed the team and what your leadership style is.
Well, I think first and foremost, developing the team. One thing, I guess, I'm going to give you a little history on me that's going to make it a little more obvious why I do the team that I do. One thing that you guys need to know about me is I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. I went to treatment when I was 18 years old and have been in recovery since then. So I'm a very firm believer that people need a second chance, and people that maybe have had other previous experience with drugs or the law or whatnot need to have someplace safe where they can go, where they can gain a skill and they can be employable and they can be held accountable and so on and so forth. And currently I have felons on my team. Most of them are drug charge felons. I have recovering addicts and alcoholics on my team, but they're all people that need some sort of, or needed some sort of second chance. I think at this point they could all go out in the real world and function and be fine and do their thing. But one of the main things that I think that I look for in a person is their willingness. And I can train anybody to groom a dog.
Wait, why an alternate? Why didn't they take
again.
you?
So I need someone that has passion,
well, you probably
and an aptitude.
You probably didn't cuss as much as you needed to during your auditions.
And that is willing to get down and dirty, because grooming is not, it's not for the faint of heart. It is not a pretty job. The better the dogs look, the worse the employees do. You know, the employees come in looking good in the morning and they go home looking quite a mess at the end of the day. But just those people that have that willingness and that drive to be able to do it. And I think one of the things that I do is I start all of my groomers that I train, they have to give me a year as a bather on staff. And they have to start at the bottom, and they have to be willing to prove that they have what it takes, and that they're not afraid to get dirty. I mean, they're cute. To do the hard stuff, and deal with the problem dogs, the scared dogs, the dogs that just have issues that need to be overcome in order to get the job done. And if they are willing to do that, I am willing to put in the time. And I have currently on staff, I have staff of 15 right now, with 9 groomers, 4 bathers, and a couple front staff. But of those, I have 1 groomer on staff that I did not train.
Wow.
Everybody else either came through my grooming school, which was it's a good program, but it gives you the basics. It's not going to give you all of it. So then from there, it's like OJT, and I fine tune them and have them go through the national certification process that I'm a certifier for with the National Dog Groomers Association of America. And they're able to get certified, and they are working towards their National Master Groomer
Once again, those dog parents, I'm just telling you, those dog parent educational classes may be a groomer's goldmine as well. Just gotta put it out there.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. That's it.
I would honestly come to that class.
Okay.
Because I live up in the mountains in Colorado, and there's maybe 3 to 4 dog groomers, and it takes over a year to get in if they're even taking new customers.
What area do you live in?
I live in Eagle County, so up in the Vail area.
I know a groomer I can get you in.
You're awesome. I love it. And then the second part of that, what kind of leader would you describe yourself as?
I think I feel like I'm a leader that's going to show by example. I think I'm very fair. I think I remember what it's like to be a bather, and I know I can remember what it is to be the grunt. And
I'm sorry, that brush is just not going through.
So I really try and remember where everybody else was, or where I was where I was in their journey, how I felt. But I think if you were to ask my staff, that they would tell you that I am the kind of leader that I'm not afraid to do anything I ask them to do, period. The only reason
we go to different salons
is because I have something else to do. And it may not be anything different than what they're doing. It's just with a different dog. But I am not afraid to get down there and, like Aggie was talking about, clean up, the pee and the vomit and the blood and whatever else happens on any given day.
Yeah, so that would be $600.
I don't feel like I'm above doing
hair
any
for
of the
hair
jobs that are there. I feel like if I show them that I'm willing to do even the smallest, most meaningless task, or what seems the smallest, most meaningless, because we all know when you run a business, the small
hair
tasks
plug
matter.
in, yeah.
But if I show them that I'm willing to do the stuff
it's like a
lot of owners would consider beneath them, then it also empowers them that they can do the bigger things that I ask them to do. And if I'm willing to do the small things, they're also willing to do the small.
I love that.
Oh,
I think
we're located in Loveland, Colorado.
But
I will tell you right now that does not mean that that's the only place that we service dogs.
Yes, they are.
We get dogs from all over the place. We get dogs from Fort Collins, Wellington, Timnath, Johnstown, Berthoud, Estes Park, Longmont. I have a few dogs that are show dog clients. I have one that drives up from Elizabeth. I have another one that comes up from Parker. I have a few Fort Morgans. I mean, we get dogs from, I actually have my flat-coated retriever clients. They come down from Edwards. So see, Chrissy, it's not that far. I have clients that do
it. I'll be calling you. I'll be down there in another month.
Sounds good.
Very cool.
Well, okay, so the plans are that this will be the last grooming salon that I own, that I can turn this into the sustainable thing, where we are known as, we are the place to go to in Northern Colorado. If you are thinking about dog grooming, this is where you go. That you're going to get the care that you need, and your dog's best interest is going to be put at the forefront of the caring that happens. I would like to make it a place where my staff feel empowered to grow and are able to serve our clients in a way that there is open, honest communication. And I'd love to see it break $1 million in revenue. That's what I want. I know we're close. We're so damn close. So everybody listening, bring your dogs. Dogs Own Grooming in Loveland. You can book online.
Oh, the 3 doesn't work anymore?
Right. No, 3 does not work. 3's sad.
I love it.
Yeah.
When you think of exiting this business, what is the vision for the business after you?
The vision for the business after me being in the building every day is exactly that I don't have to be in the building every day, but that I have a management team, which I'm cultivating and working on empowering right now, and that I have a staff that they are able to maintain the same high quality, high standards, and customer service that we've been offering for years, so that we could do all this without me actually being in the building. And that I would love to take on more of an advisory role and come in and do trainings with the staff and come in and groom a dog because I want to, because it's what brings me passion. And just to go in and enjoy the pets and enjoy the staff and the clients. And that's the goal. I don't know that I'll ever be out of the biz completely. I just don't see it. But that's the goal, is that that Dogs Own still has the ability to be able to service the community and help them with what they need for their pet care. But maybe I don't have to physically be in the building. After 39 years of grooming dogs, my body's tired. As much as I want to do it more, my body is tired.
Is it much like a hairdresser where like your hands and all those things start feeling it, and wrists and...
Oh yeah, but it tends to be more like I have a really bad neck, and it's more upper body and neck, because while hairdressers clients, generally, if they tilt your head to the right, you'll hold your head to the right. Where dogs, I pick up their foot and they kick and pull and kick and pull and kick and pull, and then they throw 100 pounds off the table, and you're trying to keep them from falling off. And so now I've wrenched my back. I mean, I go and see the chiropractor and massage every week because I have to. It's what I have to do to keep my body functioning so I can continue to do the job that I...
Yeah, when you said 39 years, I'm amazed. Like, you've obviously been doing the right things to keep yourself in that place to be able to do it. So anyone out there who's a dog groomer, take her advice. Invest in yourself and your health. Makes a big difference.
Anyone.
Very true.
Take time to take care. That could hinder that growth of me being able to... I think a lot of it comes down to not having systems and processes and policies, types of things in place to allow staff to make decisions based on what they need to, whether it be with clients or with other employees, to move it to the next level. I really try, even with my staff right now, when they come to me with a problem, my first answer is, how would you solve it? And let them come up with a solution, because I am trying to think about an exit strategy for myself from the day to day. But I think some of the limiting factors would be if my employees don't believe in themselves enough to be able to make the decisions that they thought that I would make. So I really am trying to just empower them now to make those decisions. And I tell them almost on a daily, not daily, but a weekly basis, I want you guys to pretend like I'm not here, run it like I'm not here, and I just want to see what happens. And not every day do I get away with it, but some days I do. And I get to just see how they function on their own. So I think the biggest thing would be just people not feeling empowered. So is my worry anyway. Oh my God, it is so evolved over time. And not only with the innovation of, I think there's so many things that have played in it. The innovation of better equipment, which makes our jobs more, it makes them easier to do, and we can work more ergonomically, so groomers can stay in the biz longer. When I first started in this industry, the average lifespan of a groomer was 7 years, and they'd burn out. So new equipment and new techniques have very much made it so people can have a little more longevity. But I think some of the biggest things that have happened is educating the public. And then we've had a few other things that have happened. COVID. I'm going to tell you right now, when COVID happened, people that had dogs that were getting their dogs groomed finally began to appreciate their groomers, because they tried to groom their dogs at home. Or they've been bringing their dog every 4 weeks, and then they, because with COVID, we had to shut down for 7 weeks. We were not deemed essential, so we had to shut down. Well, I want you to imagine that your dog, who had already gone 8 weeks, was due for a grooming the day after we got shut down. And then you have to shut down for another 7 weeks. And now I have 750 dogs I need to reschedule. I don't know if you're going to be first on that list or not. So people were trying to do it at home. I had people calling me while we were shut down saying, I will pay you $200 to do the dog at your house. And I'm like, no, I will get in trouble. No, I'm not doing it. But I really think education, I think there's been a few grooming reality shows that have happened. I was an alternate for one that was supposed to happened in called Groomer Has It. It only did 2 seasons, but Because I don't think I had enough drama in my life. It was a reality show after all. I'm sure that's it. I was the alternate, but I know almost everybody that was on this, and we're friends, But I really think education of the general public has been a lot. The invention of doodles has warranted the need for a lot more groomers. I'm just going to tell you right now, doodles are the groomers. They're the groomers' gold mine and the groomers' curse. They just are. I know it's kind of a hot topic with groomers. Oh, they're great. They're cute. They can be great dogs. But there are some breeders out there that use the doodle breed and try and sell dogs with a bunch of misinformation saying that they are hypoallergenic, that they don't need to be groomed, that you only need to groom them once a year, that they're easy to maintain, and they have the hardest, most difficult coat to take care of. They mat, and the owners never want them taken short. But in my opinion, grooming is about what's in the dog's best interest, and I'm going to 100% vote for humanity over vanity every single time. And if your dog is matted, it needs to go short. It is not the dog's fault that it got matted. Why are you making me torture him? I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense in my head. The dog did nothing. Why are you making me to be the bad guy and torture this dog all because you didn't want to brush your dog and you are not willing to take responsibility for it? Sorry, that's me on my high horse. Sorry. Right, maybe. Yes, I think maybe we should.
I have a neighbor that has a golden doodle, and she goes, if I would have known how much, and a regular golden retriever, and she goes, if I would have known how much maintenance this dog would be, I don't know that I would have gotten it. And throughout the winter, her hair was all growing out. She looked adorable. I saw her 2 days ago, and she is cut to the bone. And she was like, I'm making a promise to myself that I will actually brush her hair so she doesn't get mats and has to look like a rat ever again. And I'm like, good, right? But they have to learn.
Right. But she's one of the few that has come to the realization that this coat it's so hard to take care of, and people expect miracles. If you didn't brush your hair for 8 or 10 weeks and then came in and wanted to look like you were ready to walk down the red carpet, what do you think your hairstylist would say to you?
If you know what I can do with you.
Right, or didn't brush it or bathe it or shower or whatever, they'd be like, no, we're going to shave this shit off and start over. This is a start over haircut. Sorry, ain't going to happen.
Oh, that's such a great analogy. You really do need to start this owner trainer.
Right. So let me just ask you this, okay? Because this is the other thing. Why does my dog's haircut cost so much? Okay. So I'm going to ask you both, what do you guys pay to get your haircut?
$50.
Okay. 80, 90. So let's say it's an average of 60. Okay. Yeah. You will head on the top of your hair. Now I want you to take that golden doodle that weighs 80 pounds. How many scalps of your hair do you think covers that dog? Well, there's at least 10.
At least, I was going to say a dozen.
Oh, yeah. There you go. So if we're going to do pound for pound, right? Your haircut, hair for hair, your haircuts are way more expensive. I just got a lot more ground to cover. And a mani and a pedi and a Brazilian and ear cleaning and all of the things.
All of it.
All of it. So, but I love it.
That was a really good point. I don't know that many people associate that, right? So I think that's super valuable.
No, but I will explain it that way to a client when they come and they ask me. I'm like, well, how much do you pay for your haircut? And I'm like, well, how many heads of hair do you have versus your dog? I think it's fair. I think I'm charging very fairly.
Love it.
Well, I'm glad you do. They're sweet dogs.
Jennie, I have a question. What has kept your entrepreneurial spirit alive after so many years?
That's a good one. And some days I question it. I'm not going to lie. There are some days where I'm like, why? Why am I doing this? But I think there's a few different reasons. I think some of the things that keep my spirit alive is the fact that I am able to give these people that need a second chance a job, and the ability to be able to support their families and follow their dreams. I've had many employees over the years that started working for me that now are out there owning their own businesses and employing people. And I feel like it's just the natural, that's the way it should be. I feel like as an entrepreneur, one of the things I see is a big problem with a lot of entrepreneurs is they start a business, they have an idea, they start a business, and they train all these wonderful people to do the job. Mm-hmm. And then they get mad at them when they're the ones that decide that they're the ones that are going to leave and they're going to go do the same thing. And then you as an entrepreneur get mad that your employee went and opened a business, but you did it to somebody too. I don't know anybody that comes out of high school and opens a business right out of high school, and hasn't been employed anywhere else. It just doesn't happen. We as entrepreneurs, we all got the bug from somebody else and went and started our own thing. So the way I look at it is I am a stepping stone to the next generation of entrepreneurs. And I'm okay.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that many entrepreneurs take that lens, that you're a training ground and allowing people and giving them opportunity to move forward. I love that. I mean, I always would say, I want to hire someone that's better and smarter than me because it's going to allow me to step out of the day-to-day and I can entrust that they're going to do the best. And then if I was like you, where I was training, I owned fitness studios. And so it's a very entry-level job. Yes. Even as a general manager, you're not going to make more than like 60. But I always told my managers, I said, if you give me a notice and you hire and train your replacement, I will 100% support you in whatever it is you want to go do next. And I can be proud that I gave you the confidence and skill set so that you could grow and move on.
Exactly. Because I was able to have this opportunity when I was 19 years old to be a business owner. I've owned a business. I've worked for others, but I'm going to just be real honest with you that if I stop here and I get angry at people and angry at my groomers that are working for me that go start their own business, and I get so bitter and resentful, one, I'm never going to be able to grow my business. Number two, I'm going to lose that whole thing of giving young women an opportunity to own a business and be a business owner. I have to encourage that. And so just like you said, I always tell my staff, I will support you 100% in doing what is right for you as long as you give me some notice. That's it. That's all I ask for. Now, I've had other employees that try and steal client cards and they're trying to do it on the back, down low.
That's different.
Right. And that's totally different. And that's not a great way to go about it. But I am more than happy to refer clients to their groomers if they have left, if they're honest and open with me.
Love that.
Totally, you find the person that you like to do your hair, great, go do it. There's plenty of dogs to go around.
There's not plenty of talented groomers to go around.
That's right.
I would agree with that.
Sorry, I had to pop out for a second. Apparently, the weather, internet, all of the good stuff.
No worries. Welcome back. Well, Jennie, for people out there that may be 19 years old and looking to start their own business, or are 30 years into their business and maybe struggling with continuing to find their joy, purpose, and passion. I know those are two different people I just gave you. So what would be your advice to each of those demographics?
Okay, so in my industry, what I would tell you, and I'm sure it applies to every industry because I go to seminars, trade shows, and continuing education opportunities. Because if I can do a seminar, a trade show, a continuing ed opportunity, or maybe it's even just investing in myself in a way by hiring someone like Aggie as a business coach who's going to light a fire under your butt and get you back to the passion that you had originally. But I find that I get so much more inspiration if I learn something new. So I feel when I'm getting stagnant is because I'm relying on old information, that the only way to keep moving forward is to learn something new. Now, technology is a great thing. I mean, we have all done it. The social media rabbit hole or the YouTube rabbit hole, right? And you start with one thing and then 4.5 hours later, you're like, holy crap, what just happened? Right? But you learned a thing or two, maybe.
Maybe.
But you tried to. But I find that if I continue to learn, that's what inspires me to keep going. And the things that I've decided to learn recently are totally different than the things that I wanted to learn 30 years ago or 10 years ago, right? Because before I was worried more about the skill of my trade, right? The learning, the how to, the how do I, and then I focused on the why do I. And that's totally something different because the why of doing something isn't always the how to do it. It's a totally different mindset. And so that's what I encourage my staff to do once they get really good at grooming a particular breed of dog. I'm like, okay, but why do you do it that way? And they're like, well, I don't know, because that's what you told me to do. And I'm like, well, go research it. You know? And in the dog grooming world, we talk a lot about hairstyles are form follows function, right? That you're going to do the hairstyle based on the job that the dog was bred to do. But I think that can come down to different applications in business as well, right? Is the reason that we do this is because this is what this needs to do. And if we don't set goals and follow KPIs and do all of those kinds of things, we're not going to get to the end result that we're wanting to get to. So even as a smaller business, and not a business that people think of as a giant industry, right? I'm not like the, consulting industry or the health industry or, tech industry or fitness or any of that. Dog grooming is not that big of an industry comparatively. But I'm big in my industry, and the only reason that I am is because I think I continue to look forward to what the next thing is and problem solving and coming up with the thing that's going to make the client feel the best about their dog. Well,
I think we fully determined your badass status now.
No.
Okay, maybe.
You should have led with that question. You could have gone on forever, and you've provided 20 different benefits versus just 2. So I absolutely love it. Thank you.
Sorry if I went on a tangent.
It's awesome.
No, I love it. That's what this is for.
Jennie, it has been a pleasure. Lovely to have you.
Oh.
Hopefully a lot of listeners benefit from hearing from you and develop a new appreciation for their groomer. Or groomers if they have multiples. But just for the people who are local to Colorado or those who will be visiting Colorado this summer with their RV, bringing their dog, how do they find you?
So you can find us on our website at Dogs Own Grooming. There's a link there you can book online. You can also follow us on Facebook at dogsowngroomingsalon.com or Dogs Own Grooming Salon on Facebook and Instagram. We're there on both. Do you want me to give a phone number? Phone number 970-663-DOGS. Imagine that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jennie.
Thank you, guys. Jennie. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. I really appreciate the opportunity.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.